But who is this kayak actually good for?
I love how easy this fits in there.
So a throw and go power ready fishing kayak. This is the new Crescent Smallie SF, and you guys have seen me use it in the last few videos. You saw my initial first look at this. Today we're going to go through the front to back, talk about this kayak, look at the hull, talk about who it's right for, and really what niche this kayak fills, because it is a unique kayak in the sense that it has a ton of features in a 65-pound package. Now we've got ours outfitted, so I'm gonna talk about some of the rigging that we've done on it, but I really want to kind of hammer home what this kayak is good for and just kind of give you guys a good look at the features and decide whether or not you think this makes sense in your arsenal. All right, so I'm gonna start at the front here. You can see I've got my paddle in the rod savers, just like the Sholey has, which is sitting behind me. The Smallie SF has the rod savers up front. You can put your rods in there. I really like to stick my paddle in there like that. I like this because it gives you options. It gives you options if you want to put rods in there, you want to put your catch board in there, because we'll talk about this further down in this walkthrough, but if you're not a fan of the way the Smallie has the catch board recess, you can put your catch board up front just like that. I've done that on the Sholey quite a few times. So rod saver is super versatile. Like with any kayak, once you start adding features to it, that's where you're gonna start getting the weight. And the whole goal of this kayak is to be a lightweight throw and go style kayak. That's why I'm impressed by how many little small details like the rod saver that you get on the front end of this kayak. So let's start with the hatch here, and then we'll make our way down towards the back. And if you've looked at any of the first looks that are out there, you know that the hatch is cut out just like that. I've got my little Lifetime battery in there. That's my 25 amp hour, 24 volt battery that powers the Newport NK180. I've used that on various different Crescents. I've used it across the board, but this cutout hatch is one of my favorite features. That's because it has these rod stagers here, and you can actually get 2 rods in there. So instead of having to cut your hatch out if you want internal storage, Crescent has made it so that the hatch is like a hybrid. You've got this upper layer where you can get 2 rods in there, but then you still have hole access. So this is a Sholey hatch that I've cut out. You can see it's a very similar design with the rod stagers being the tubes. The one disadvantage of that is you have to feed them through there. So on this, they don't have anything like that. They just have these stagers up at the top where you can slide 2 rods in there. So I personally really like that. I think that since this is a throw and go kayak, if you're gonna go on a river trip or something like that, having the ability to just stow away a couple of rods, if you only wanna have 2 out on the deck, is huge. I will say though, if you do put rods in there and you're going to be transporting this kayak, it does have a very narrow and wobbly front in the design of the hull. So if you have it in a truck bed and you're loading it, there is potential for this battery, like I have here, to slide around in there and hit your rods. So just be on your toes when it comes to that stuff, because I could see that being an issue. Like this big heavy battery slides into there when you're loading it into a truck bed. But overall, huge fan of the hatch. On the top side of the hatch though, you notice that just like the Sholey and other Crescent kayaks, there are these rod grooves. We talked about the rod saver being paddle clip, but you can clip your rods in these grooves. There's these little nubs right here, and you're probably wondering what these are. There's 4 of them, so 2 on each side. These are actually designed so that when you put your rods on there, and I'll grab one just to show you. When you put your rods on there, these nubs are designed to hold your rod. It's kind of tough to do because I have the seat in the low position, but you see these grooves, they hold the rod, but if you have them out here, it's so that they don't slide off the kayak. You can see it just ever so slightly catches there. So that's a pretty cool little detail that a lot of people haven't talked about that I think really makes this a angler friendly kayak. The front half of this is really well designed. So in addition, the front hatch has the typical drag strap. Mine's gonna look a little different because if you watched my first look video, you may have noticed that I was out there using an XI3. In fact, if you watch any of the promo videos, this is the kayak that's in it, XI3 quick release bracket right here on the front. We've mounted this on this rigid hole right here. So it's actually got a raised ridge where you can put a 4-bolt pattern in there on the front. So any trolling motor, power pole if you want a power pole in the front. I mean, some people do that. But it has the inserts here too for the drag strap, just like what you saw on the Crescent Smallie. So that's really not a huge surprise. I've actually just draped mine around this. So if you do want bow mounted motors, this works really well. So coming down to the cockpit here, you can see that we've got a lot going on. This is kind of where the magic happens. You know, you've got the little hutch here, you've got the catch board things. But one thing that I think is really cool about these new Crescents that is starting with the Smallie and I believe will be integrated into the Smallie as well, is they're gonna come pre-plumbed with FootSteering. What that means is all you need to do is thread your Spectra cord, your wire, or whatever through these pre-plumbed tubes that start here, you'll see them in the back there, and you can do FootSteering right out of the gate. You can use the default steering that's on the Smallie. You just pop the little red tabs off on your pedals and you tie it to the pedal. I, however, have an aftermarket bracket steering where it's a bracket that slides along the track like that. I actually took this off another kayak and it works pretty flawlessly. One great thing about this being a 10'6" kayak is it can turn on a dime. So moving to the catch board recess. This is something where I think a lot of people have a ton of opinions on how they like to store their catch boards. I've done it a million ways. I really do like the Smallie, but one thing they changed in this is since it isn't a wide enough kayak to have the recess like the Smallie, it actually has a horizontal and vertical option. So you can store it like this, and then the tabs right here lock, holds it in place, keeps it from kind of jutting around. And for most people, I think this is gonna be the way they keep their catch board. But if you're an angler that likes to do it across your lap, which I am not, there's these recesses here, which you can sit your catch board in just like that, measure your fish. It also has a bigger groove here for the leaderboard, the Yak Attack leaderboard, or if you're using any big aftermarket thing, you can measure your fish like that. So I do like that you had some options there. I would probably just measure my fish like that personally. So let's talk about these rails real quick. All the railing on the T-bolt rails on the Smallie SF are metal. So what that means is you don't get as much flex. So those plastic ones, there's a lot of flex. They wear down easy. These metal ones are made by Ketch. They're exclusive to the Smallie. I believe they're going to start integrating those into all Crescent models, but huge quality of life change there. You can see they're on the front and on the back. So you get them in both spots, which I think is super cool. So moving along here, let's talk about the midsection of the kayak. We're gonna move this paddle out of the way. I'm gonna give you guys a really good look at what we've got here. So always wear your life jacket, by the way. So the midsection of the kayak, you've got two options here for accessories. You can put the paddle holders here like the Smallie has. You could put a small little T-track there if that's what you wanted. I've actually used a threaded insert on mine for my Newport throttle mount. So you can see there's the Yak Attack quick release bracket. It's just a threaded insert, and I can actually show you guys that. It is just a threaded insert into these pre-made inserts, just like this. So that is something that I bought aftermarket in order to put a quick release throttle bracket on there because I thought that this was the obvious spot for a motor mount. But if you're not planning on running a motor, you're planning on just running this as a paddle kayak, which I think it is a great option for that, you don't have to do anything with that. You could put accessories, you could put a GoPro, you could leave it blank. The world is your oyster. Now, one thing that is returning from other Crescent models is the high-low seat. So you might notice in the Smallie, there's a high-low option. This is the same exact seat that's in the Smallie. It fits great in the high option. You can move it down though, and you do lose that underseat storage if you do this, but you gain a lot of stability. And that's something that I think we'll talk about a little bit later in the video, high versus low, because I have a really good clip kind of showing that off. I fished it on both rivers and flat waters in the high-low, but that is an option. I think that if you want to take a lot of stuff and you're not too worried about the primary stability aspect, I think a lot of people will probably fish it in the high position. Being a taller guy, I was much more comfortable in the taller position, but I do see the advantage on some choppier water having it in the low position. So here's the Tankwell, and like I already mentioned, metal tracks back here, but I've taken the seat out so you could get a good idea of like what we're working with from the second half of this kayak, or like let's just say the back 30% of the kayak. Under the seat, you've got a lot of storage options. You got these nubs right here if you do want to put a tackle box or something that you don't want sliding around. But one thing you might notice is there's no padding under the seat. That's definitely something I wish I would have seen them do because it is kind of loud. I'll probably install some of my own under there because anytime you put something under the seat, you hear how loud that is, whereas I know it may not translate well into the video, but this is a much more muted sound, especially if you're dropping things. You can see like that, like it mutes the sound a little bit more. Whereas if you drop it on something like this, it's a much more echoey sound. So the padding is great. The fact that the front has padding and then it stops under the seat and starts again in the Tankwell was, you know, I get that we're trying to keep it cheaper. We're trying to keep it under a certain threshold. Padding is expensive, but I think I'm probably going to add some aftermarket padding under there. So one great thing too is you do have the rear Tankwell access. So if you do need to put a motor mount on, if you do need to do anything in the hole, I did install a wire that goes from front to back for the Newport to keep that front heavy. Because I do think having a little bit of weight in the front is a benefit. So I was able to install the wiring because I had access to the hole. So just like the Sholey, very similar. It's much easier to put a motor mount on this kayak than the Sholey. Because you have this hole access, this back panel here is flat, right? So you're able to put this on there and just bolt it down super easy. You just drill your 4 holes in whichever position you want and boom, you're out of the gate ready to go. So instead of having those like inserts where you're kind of forced into where this goes, you kind of get to choose. It's not super hard. I got this on there in less than 5 minutes. In fact, when we were at that photo shoot, one of the Smallies that we rigged, we actually rigged in a parking lot. We threaded the steering because like I said, it's pre-tubed, tied it to just the default tracks that come in there, popped those little red things off, drilled the 4 holes, put a Torpedo bracket on there and boom, we were on the water. I've rigged 3 of these so far, including my own, with a stern mounted motor, and it has been a breeze. So anybody who's worried about like the difficulty of putting a motor on it, this is the easiest kayak I have ever put a motor on, just because it's so simple to just drill the holes, put it on there, put the FootSteering on, and you're good to go. Same with the front. If you want to run a bow mounted motor, you drill the 4 holes, you put it on that ridge, boom, you're gone. So one concern I think a lot of people are going to have with the Tankwell, just kind of circling back to that, is the size. I can get the small Blackpack in there, turned sideways. It does butt up against the seat a little bit when you're in the high position because it is a smaller kayak, but you can kind of play around with that. Because this is a throw and go kayak, I think most people assume that you're not going to be able to put this big one in there. As you can see, the big Blackpack just isn't going to fit in any configuration. Now I will say if you're dead set on using this, you could probably just sit it right there on the rails, or conversely, do something similar to the way the Crescent has the Boondocks bar, like in my Sholey. You could put a bar here and sit it on top of it and strap it down. Now there are some really, really cool tie down options. You can see there's 2 metal security bar like things there to cinch down your Blackpack. You can obviously thread it through the metal bars there. Super heavy duty because they are metal, no worry about flex. So you've got 4 of those options there. You can see it's on each side. So several options for strapping your stuff down if you are worried about that, but you do have a smaller Tankwell because it is a 10'6" package. It is a small, lightweight kayak that, you know, uses that Primo hole. So you have limited space to work with, but I gotta assume if you're interested in this kayak, you're probably not wanting to take a ton of stuff. And before I flip it over, I do want to point out there are 3 scuppers on this kayak. It's a question that a lot of people have. So 1 in the back, or 1 in the middle, and then 1 underneath the catchboard recess. So we're gonna flip this over and look at the hole. Okay, we flipped it over. Since this is lightweight, it was super easy. You can see the hole design kind of from this angle, and I'm gonna pop the camera off and give you guys a better look at it here in a second. But what I wanna talk about is the bulbous nose. So this is a Primo based kayak. This has a hole very similar to the Primo. So you have that bulbous nose. It's gonna ride high in the water, which means the more weight you can get in the front, the better it's going to kind of track a little bit, especially when you're under power. And that's why I think it did decently well with the bow mounted motor. I think having that weight up there, pulling it down a little bit, it tracked fairly well. Now it wasn't my favorite that I've ever had a bow mounted motor on, not by far, but I think it does all right. So if that's something that you want to consider, it's definitely there. But that bulbous nose, I mean, this kayak has a lot of volume, so it does sit really high in the water. It doesn't sink down. And this nose really helps with that. But you can see it's just got that primo hole. And it's got the keel in the back, as you can see, that pronounced keel. So there's a couple things about this that I want to talk about, but let me give you guys a good look. And you can see I've put some time into this kayak. You can see this bulbous nose here. I do want to point out it does have a transducer port. I know that this was super popular on the Shoaly. You do need to buy some sort of mount to get it in there. I mean, you could theoretically mount it right there if you wanted to. I think the sandwich mounts, like the one Yak Gadget makes, is really good. There's a couple different like sandwich style where you essentially just bolt it on one side and then on the flip side on the scupper, you bolt it again. You can see it's got the typical Crescent features and just that elongated middle section there that goes back into the keel. Now, one thing I will say about the keel is because this is a narrower kayak, if you're coming over obstacles and you get this back section right there caught on anything, it can be tippy. I want to flag that for people. Be on your toes. This is a paddler's kayak. It does really well under power, but you do have to be aware that getting on a rock with just this section here is going to cause you to rock. So long as you don't overcompensate or panic, you'll be all right. But I think that this is something that a lot of people might get trapped by. That's the hole there. I just wanted to kind of show you guys. You can see nice little rotomolded handle there if you need to carry it. But no surprises really. I mean, if you've looked at this kayak and you've seen the Primo, you kind of know what you expect. But this color does look really sick from down here. But who is this kayak actually good for? You know, I've pointed out all the features. I'm sure I missed a few things that I'm gonna be like, oh, and I should have talked about that. Specifically the cup holders. I mean, can you really make a kayak in 2025 without cup holders? Probably not. It does have 2 cup holders. But who is this kayak good for? Who is going to want this? Do you want a lightweight kayak that you can just throw in and fish out of that's loaded with features that are angler focused? If so, this is your kayak. Are you a recreational kayaker that maybe fishes a little bit, that likes a lighter thing? This is probably a good kayak for you. Do you want a kayak that's versatile yet lightweight enough to car top? This is probably a good kayak for you. So you're kind of seeing the trend here. If you're wanting that smaller package that's still loaded with features, this is a fantastic option for that. It does really well in small water too. Now I talked about getting stuck on rocks. It's not a huge concern, but one thing about these more like narrow holes is sometimes when you get caught on obstacles on the water, it can be a little treacherous and people will often say they're quote tippy, when in reality, this is just a kayak that paddles really well. If you want a smooth handling kayak, it's going to have a more pronounced keel. It's going to be a little bit narrower. It's going to move really well. This is a nimble kayak. If you take this out on the water, I would highly recommend that you try it in every scenario that you see yourself using it. So if you're going to put a stern mount motor on it, you should probably try it with a stern mounted motor. If you're going to put a bow mounted motor on the front, you should probably try it with that. But you also should paddle it. Like if you're gonna buy this kayak, absolutely take it out and paddle it. It's gonna blow your mind. It is so fast. And what I mean by that is like 3 paddle strokes and you're going. You wanna turn left, boom, you're turning left. You wanna turn right, you're turning right. You could do a 180 super quick. So I've tried this on the river. I've tried it in fast current, slow current. I've tried it with flat water, just paddling it. When I first ever set foot in this kayak, I actually took it out on a farm pond, glass clear, just paddling it in the evening. And it was a dream to paddle. The next night, we got back, I took it out on the same exact thing in the wind, and the wind was having its way with it. So that is one thing I did notice about this kayak, because it is so lightweight and you sit so high up in the water. This thing has a lot of volume. So like the water line is like, you know, like here. Like when you don't have a lot of weight in it, and I do want to point out, this can take up, I think it's like 500 pounds. I think they technically list the weight on the website as 375. But we had it loaded down with much more than that. I'm not telling you to do that. You should always listen to the manufacturers, but I know that this can take a lot of weight. So if you're a bigger angler, both male or female, no discrimination here, and you want a lighter kayak, this is going to be able to do it. Now, like I said, it does have a little bit more wobble, and that translates onto the water as well. You can see I've got it up on the uprights right here. Look how much that's wobbling. This handles really well. So if you're a pure paddler and you like that about kayak fishing, if you're more of a purist, you're gonna love this kayak because it's got so many features. But if you consider yourself more of a novice and you're a little worried, it might take you a while to get used to that. And that's where this high-low seat comes into play. And I'm gonna show you guys some clips of on the water, and then I'll talk a little bit about the high-low seat. So we're gonna try this in the low position. Hopefully we don't flip trying to do it. Oh wow, it's like a whole different kayak. Your center of gravity is a lot lower, obviously. So it does make it handle a little bit better. I think I like it. All right, so how hard is it gonna be to cast though? All right, well, I think my preferred way of fishing out of this kayak is gonna be in the low seat position. I know I probably look like I'm way down here now, but. So yeah, you can see about halfway through that trip, on my previous video, I saved that little portion just to kind of show you guys. I actually switched from the high position here to the low position. And I did that a couple different times, honestly. The first time I took this down the river, I did it as well. My buddy John Dalton from Creek Fishing Adventures said he preferred the low seat. Now, he's about 3 inches taller than me. We're both rather tall. John's a much bigger dude than me overall, and he liked it in the low position. So I've never tried a Crescent in the low position, but I tried the Sholey that same day, and I was like, wow, this is a different boat. I was like, wow, this feels like a different boat in the low position, so I want to try the Smallie in the low position as well. So I moved it down, tried it out, game changer. So we talked about how it's wobbly, but I just want to point something out. So I was wobbling this up here. You can see it's wobbly. See how wobbly this is? I don't know how well this is going to translate the video, right? So I'm grabbing it by the top of the seat. We're moving it to the low position. I still have it on the top of the seat. Look at that. I'm putting the same amount of force and it is not wobbling. I know this is an extreme example, but you're lowering that center of gravity. You're getting less weight up on the top. So the pivot point of you sitting in this kayak is becoming much less. Now, for a lot of you experienced paddlers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to educate you guys on that, but someone who hasn't been in this style of kayak, the low position creates a much more primary stability focused kayak. So if you're worried about that, there are options. I don't think this is a scary tippy kayak or anything like that, but I'm also a really good paddler. I'm really good at casting while paddling and in current. Obviously I fish a lot of rivers. I'm very experienced in that. I am not scared of this kayak in those scenarios, but I will say in fast current, I've taken it on 2 different trips where the current was just ripping. I took it down a river at like 4,000 CFS that's typically at 1,000. And that may not sound like a much, 4 times the amount of water coming down. This thing was ripping and I switched it to the low position and I found it to be just a lot more like calm, a lot more easy to paddle because I did have a little bit more stability because all my weight was lower to the water. So that's an option, and I think it vastly changes how the kayak performs. I definitely recommend that if you demo this kayak, it's going to probably be in the high position at start. Try it in the high position, and then try it in the low, and then make your decision about that kayak. So did I mention this only weighs 65 pounds? That's a huge plus. If you're car topping this, you just throw it up on the car. I put it up on my racks all the time. I'm about to leave for a trip here soon. I'm taking this one with me along with my tournament rig Sholey. I'm gonna have this on the top because if you wanna go skinny and you want something light, this is a great one for it. I put the NK180 on this with FootSteering, and I think it does really well with the NK180. Now, a couple things that I'm going to point out, which I'll show you here in a video. But first, river impressions with a motor. I think it does okay. It definitely does okay. I think where this kayak strength is, from my point of view, is legitimately just a paddle kayak that you do like throw and go. I know that it is, quote, a throw and go kayak, so it makes sense, but you can definitely put a motor on it and it does just fine. Like, I will probably run this with a motor quite a bit because I've got that light battery in the front, but I actually think having the heavier battery would help keep this nose down because this is moving so much, it tends to want to like, or shine, I don't know what they actually call that, but it's where it dances back and forth. It does that in the current, like you'll feel it like kind of have like a wobble to it. It's kind of unnerving I don't think you're ever in any danger. Smallie, definitely, definitely think that it is a great paddle kayak. I actually found it super easy to paddle. I actually find the motor you can see it kind of wobbling there. That's the motor. So I definitely would not recommend an NK300 on this or a Torqeedo 1103. Definitely not. You can see that there is a little bit of wobble to it. It almost feels like when bass boats get going really fast, they start to do that because, you know, it's pushing the water and it's slapping against the hull like that. This has a lot of that. I don't notice that as much in the Sholey. I have a sneaking suspicion it's because I don't have enough weight in the front. In that video, literally the only thing I have in the front is one rod and a battery. So I think if you get a little bit more weight down, it kind of compensates for that. That's our speed. This isn't super accurate. I'm guessing we're getting like 5 point something, but keep in mind it's with current. So, I mean, not bad considering that this is a short kayak. I think overall this is a really good option for a stern mounted motor. It does really well with the NK180. Now I would not recommend running a NK300 or a Torqeedo 1103. I'm sure some of you guys will do that. I can't comment on whether or not that'll be good, but I could just see that being a problem. It's just too much power for something this light. I mean, like I said, 65 pounds, you don't really need something like that. So if you're gonna put a stern mounted motor, in my opinion, I would highly recommend you stick to something that's a little bit more manageable like the 180 or even the 403, I think is the Torqeedo one. Or even if you're doing like a stern mounted trolling motor, you know, stick to that 35 pound thrust, something in that range. But it's capable of handling it all, guys. So, you know, the world is your oyster. That's just my experiences with it. So I want to talk a little bit about the rigability of this kayak because it is kind of a blank slate. In my first experience on this rigged with a motor was actually the bow mount. It was super easy to put this on because of the raised ridge that we talked about earlier in the video. I thought this did all right under bow power. I think stern is better, but the riggability of this kayak is insane. So if you wanted to put a bow with a power pole like I had in the launch videos, you could absolutely do that. It is super easy to make this kayak yours. There's a lot of options that you can kind of go in and rig it the way that you want it to be rigged. If you don't want to use these catchboard recesses, you could do that. I think this kayak does perform really well on flat water though. I think that is, if you're wanting something just like a paddle kayak that you can just take to farm ponds, small lakes, I mean, heck, even big lakes, if you're launching into a pocket and you just want to paddle over to a specific area, if you're launching under a bridge to do a creek, that's where this kayak excels. Like you can rig it as crazy as you want, but you can also keep it super simple and you've got a super loaded feature kayak. So I think this is a niche kayak, but I also don't think it is because I think it's going to appeal to you a lot of anglers and even paddlers who just want something simple that has fishing options. Whereas if you already own something like the Sholey or the CK2 or even like that Hobie I've got sitting over there, you might look at this and think like, oh yeah, that's really niche. I would probably only use that in small water. But if you're an avid fisherman and you want those options, this is a great option for that because like I said, you're not feeling like you're in a 65-pound throw and go kayak. You feel like you're in a feature loaded kayak, but when you pick it up for the first time, it's just, it blows my mind that this only weighs like 65 pounds. Now, you know, with a motor, the battery, the chair, the mounts, all that stuff, I bet you even with the motor, you're still under that 100-pound threshold. So fully rigged with a couple rods and a motor, you could really have a lightweight package. So that's the Smallie SF walkthrough on my end. I have taken it on every stretch of water I can really imagine at this point outside the ocean. Overall, I enjoy the kayak. I think that if you want something that's lightweight, it's definitely going to fill that void for you. But if you're wanting something that's going to be your primary like tournament rig for like big water and stuff, this definitely isn't going to be that sort of thing. That's not what it was designed to be. This is designed for the enthusiast or someone who's just wanting to dip their toes in kayak fishing. I think the price comes under $1,400, which might feel like on the high end for a throw and go kayak, but keep in mind there is all metal tracks, it's pre-plumbed. There's a lot of things on here that if you wanted, you would have to spend that money anyways. It comes default on there. So I appreciate that about it. I enjoy this kayak. I probably will fish out of this mostly on the river going forward the next few weeks. Especially in spring where I know the water is going to be up. enough that I'm never going to be doing any dragging, not really worried about rocks and stuff. Like I said, feature loaded kayak that is motor ready on both front and back. Throw and go, put it on the roof, throw it in the back of the truck, be on the water in seconds. This is the kind of kayaking that I missed. It was so invigorating. When I went down to Tennessee to demo this kayak with the Crescent crew and John Dalton, being able to see this for the first time and being like, you know what? It felt very, very rewarding to just take this down a small little water body with just a paddle and 2 rods. That's all I took with me and my GoPros. So I think this is gonna fill a void for a lot of people. I don't necessarily think it's for everyone. I think if you're going into this expecting some sort of like super stable platform, you're gonna be disappointed because it is definitely an enthusiast paddling kayak, but I do think it's beginner friendly as long as you come into it with an open mind. So those are kind of like my pros and cons of it. Lightweight, easy to move, but it does lack in the primary stability, which I think might put some anglers off if they're not willing to learn the tolerances of the kayak. So that's the Smallie SF, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Keep an eye out for more content coming down the pipe on this one. I'm gonna be fishing out of it a lot. Like I said, I've got the motor on it and everything. We're gonna be doing some river trips very shortly on it. So I'll see you guys on the water.